You think I wanted your money, Ethan? Renee's voice cracked through the December rain. You don't buy dignity, you earn it. He froze, the crowd's Christmas lights flickering behind her, his son crying in the doorway. Now let me tell you how this incredible story unfolded. Subscribe, share your heart in the comments, and tell me where you're watching from, because your support keeps these stories alive. Now, let's begin. The Florida sky was streaked pink and gold when Renee Johnson raced through the school parking lot, heart pounding. Her scrubs were damp with sweat and peppermint sanitizer. Her hair, once neat, had long since given up the fight against the Miami humidity. Mom! 6-year-old Maya's small voice rang out. She was sitting on the curb, backpack clutched to her chest, paper angel ornament dangling from her fingers. I'm so sorry, baby, Renee panted, kneeling. Traffic was a mess, leaving Mercy General. Renee panted, now way. Renee panted, now way, panted, now way, way. Renee panted, now 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 way. Renee panted. Maya smiled weakly. It's okay. The Christmas recital was fun. Liam sang really loud. Sukend. Liam sang really loud. I'm Sukend Breder. Liam sang really loud. I'm Sukend Breder. I'm Sukend Breder. Sukend Breder. I'm Sukend Breder. I'm Sukend Breder. I'm Sukend. Renee laughed softly. Loud's good. Across the courtyard, Ethan Cole, polished in a navy suit and quiet grief, clapped along with the parents gathered under the twinkling school lights. His son Liam was tugging his sleeve, chattering about Christmas lists and snow machines for the school play. As the crowd began to disperse, Liam noticed Maya's ornament slipping from her hand. He darted over. Hey, you dropped this. Maya looked down, embarrassed. It's just paper. I couldn't buy anything nice. Liam, with the innocence only a child could have, frowned and said loudly, Dad, she can't buy a Christmas gift. The words sliced through the warm air. Renee's spine stiffened. Ethan's smile faltered, his eyes meeting hers for the first time. He saw pride flash wounded, fiery pride behind those dark, tired eyes. She scooped Maya into her arms and whispered, Come on, baby. Ethan's chest tightened as they walked away. That single sentence from his son echoed like an accusation. She can't buy a Christmas gift. That night, Ethan stood by his penthouse window overlooking Biscayne Bay. City lights flickering against the glass. The water was black velvet beneath the stars. Liam was asleep down the hall, yet the silence pressed in too thickly. He could still hear her voice, the tremor, when she said. He turned toward his desk, where a family photo still sat, his late wife Allison, laughing on a beach years ago. What would you do, he murmured, if you heard that? Across town, in a small apartment above a laundromat, Renee carefully taped Maya's ornament back together. The little girl was asleep, curls spread across her pillow. Bills lay scattered on the counter. One was red-stamped. She rubbed her temples, whispering, It's just one more Christmas. We'll make it through. Outside, a car alarm blared, followed by the faint echo of carolers practicing down the block. The world felt both festive and cruel. Renee's phone buzzed a message from the school principal reminding parents about the Christmas fund for underprivileged families. She sighed, scrolling past. Pride wouldn't let her click. But somewhere in another part of Miami, Ethan Cole was still staring at that same message, his finger hovering over, Donate. He hesitated. Then, with a heavy breath, he clicked it, donating enough to cover every family on the list. Not for show, not for tax write-offs, for her. That night, a strange peace settled over him. But he had no idea that by morning, his quiet act would set off a chain of events that would test both their hearts. Have you ever judged someone's situation before knowing their story? The following morning, the Florida sun poured through Ethan's office windows at Cole Innovations, reflecting off the glass towers of downtown Miami. He should have been on a call with a Silicon Valley partner, but his mind drifted back to that school parking lot, to the woman whose eyes had said, "Don't you dare pity me." "Sir," his assistant, Nicole, interrupted. "The principal from Bayview Elementary is on line 2. Something about a donation mix-up?" Ethan's brow furrowed. "Put her through." "Mr. Cole," came the principal's apologetic tone, "we received an anonymous contribution to the Christmas fund. It's generous. Covered every child's wish list. But one of the parents, Miss Johnson, was quite upset when she found out." He sat straighter. "Upset?" "She said she didn't ask for charity. Demanding to know who sent it." Ethan's stomach turned. "Tell her it wasn't meant to offend. It was—" He stopped himself. "Actually, tell her nothing. Keep it anonymous." But by that evening, anonymity was a luxury he no longer had. Renee stormed into the school's community office the next day, still in her scrubs, eyes blazing. "You think handing out pity behind someone's back makes it better?" she snapped at the principal. "Renee," the principal started softly, "no one's pitying you. It was a gift. I don't need saving." She snatched the envelope off the counter, shaking her head. "You can give this back to whoever sent it." A familiar voice spoke behind her. "Maybe you should hear why before you throw it away." She froze. Ethan stood in the doorway, no tailored suit this time, just jeans and a gray shirt. He looked human. Nervous, even. "Mr. Cole," she said sharply. "So it was you." He nodded once. "Yes." Renee crossed her arms. "Why? Because my kid embarrassed you? Because your son pointed out how little we have?" Ethan exhaled. "Because your daughter reminded me of mine." Her face softened, then tensed again. "You have a daughter?" "Had," he said quietly. "Allison and I lost her when she was 4. Christmas morning. A car accident." The silence that followed was heavy enough to break the air between them. "I don't do charity," he added. "I do second chances." Renee blinked back tears, trying not to let empathy override anger. He met her gaze. Steady. "No. But sometimes it helps start something good. You don't have to accept it, but please don't hate the intent." Renee's breath hitched. She wasn't used to people speaking gently to her without expectation. Still, pride was a thick armor. "You don't know what it's like," she whispered. "Working 12-hour shifts. Choosing between groceries and a doll your kid wants." He nodded. "You're right. I don't. But I'd like to understand." She studied him. This man whose life seemed untouched by worry. And for the first time, she saw something raw behind the wealth. Grief. Real and heavy. "Understanding doesn't fix anything," she murmured. "Maybe not," he said. "But it's where people start forgiving." They met again 2 days later, unintentionally. Renee was at the Publix grocery store off Coral Way. Maya skipping ahead, humming Jingle Bells. Ethan and Liam were in the next aisle, comparing cookie brands. The kids saw each other first. "Hi, Maya." Liam grinned, holding up a box of ginger snaps. "Want one?" "Mom says we can't buy cookies till after payday," Maya said, half whispering. Ethan turned the corner and froze. Renee stood there, pushing a half-empty cart, caught between embarrassment and defiance. He smiled gently. "Ginger snaps are overrated anyway." Her lips twitched despite herself. "You following me now, Mr. Cole? Even starred me ran not had a very." "Not yet," he said with a light chuckle. "Though I've been told I have great timing." It was the first time she laughed around him, soft, reluctant, but real. They ended up at the checkout line together, kids chattering like old friends. When Renee's debit card was declined, she'd miscalculated the week's balance. Ethan instinctively stepped forward. "Don't," she said firmly, cheeks flushed. He stepped back. Her fingers trembled as she slid out a crumpled 20. The cashier bagged the essentials, nothing extra. Ethan waited in silence, wanting to help, but respecting her invisible wall. Outside, the humid Miami breeze carried the smell of fried plantains from a food truck. Maya tugged Renee's sleeve. Renee hesitated. Ethan smiled. Only if his mom says yes. Renee's brows lifted. You're funny. I'm trying to be human, he said quietly. Something inside her cracked just a little. That evening, they met at the Bayfront Park Christmas market, lights strung like stars, the bay shimmering behind them. Kids ran around clutching hot cocoa. Maya and Liam darted toward a carousel, while Renee and Ethan stood nearby, awkwardly side by side. Renee sipped her cocoa. You really lost your wife and daughter at Christmas? He nodded. 5 years ago. I stopped celebrating after that. The only reason I showed up to that recital was because Liam begged. Guess the universe wanted you there, she said softly. He smiled. Maybe the universe knows I needed a reminder. A reminder of what? That sometimes the hardest hearts come wrapped in the kindest intentions. She gave a half smile. That was corny, he laughed. Yeah. My therapist says I'm not great with emotions. Her voice softened. You're doing fine now. Their eyes lingered longer this time, not as strangers, but as two people who recognized pain in each other. Later that night, Ethan dropped Liam off at home and found himself unable to sleep. He replayed Renee's laugh, her guarded smile, the way she looked under the string lights. For the first time in years, Christmas didn't feel like punishment. Across town, Renee tucked Maya into bed. Her daughter whispered, Mom, Mr. Cole's nice. He looked sad, though. Renee brushed a curl from Maya's forehead. He's been through things too, baby. Everwa. Maybe he needs a Christmas gift, Maya murmured before drifting off. Renee sat in the dark, thinking of Ethan's quiet kindness, not the money, but the way he listened. Maybe for once, accepting help wasn't weakness. If you were Renee, would you have accepted Ethan's help or held on to pride? Comment below with how you'd handle it. The week before Christmas rolled in with gray skies over Miami. Palm trees shuddered in a salt-heavy breeze, and the city buzzed with last-minute shoppers and tourists chasing sunshine. But for Renee, every day felt heavier. She hadn't seen Ethan since the night at Bayfront Park. He'd texted once, asking if Maya liked the carousel photo he'd printed and framed. She never replied. Something inside her was shifting, confusion wrapped in guilt, warmth tangled with fear. She couldn't afford feelings for a man whose world was built on everything she didn't trust. At the hospital, her coworker Alicia nudged her during break. Girl, you've been spacing out all week. Who's got you looking like a Hallmark movie? Renee rolled her eyes, sipping stale coffee. Uh-huh. Sure. You gonna tell me? Or you gonna keep pretending? Renee laughed, shaking her head. Even if I did tell you, you wouldn't believe it. Try me. There's this guy. Renee began hesitantly. But he's not from my world. Alicia's eyebrows lifted. You talking about money? Money? Renee sighed. More than money. He's good. Kind. But he's also the kind of man who could ruin you without meaning to. Alicia grinned. Sounds like danger and Christmas magic to me. That night, as rain tapped softly against her apartment window, Renee scrolled through her phone. She saw a news notification. Local millionaire Ethan Cole sponsors Christmas drive for Miami families. Her thumb froze mid-scroll. Below the headline was a photo. Ethan, standing beside the principal, handing over an oversized check with the school logo in the background. And there, in bold letters, her name appeared in the caption, inspired by local nurse Renee Johnson's story of perseverance. Her breath caught. My story? Her vision blurred with tears, anger, humiliation, heartbreak, all mixing at once. She slammed the phone down, chest heaving. "After everything," she whispered. "He used me." Maya stirred in bed. "Mom? Mom? Mom?" "It's okay, baby," Renee said quickly, forcing calm. "Go back to sleep." But inside, the old walls were rising again. Walls built from every time she'd been pitied, underestimated, or used as someone's good deed. The next morning, Ethan arrived at the school early to help with the Christmas drive setup. He wore a red volunteer shirt and the same nervous energy he'd felt before every big investor meeting. Only this time, the stakes weren't money, they were human. He saw Renee the moment she walked through the gym doors, storm in her eyes, hands shaking as she approached. "Renee, don't," she snapped. "Don't you dare say my name like you care." People turned. Ethan stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Can we talk somewhere private?" "No, we'll talk right here." Her voice trembled, but she didn't stop. "You went to the press. You turned my life into a headline." "I didn't." He swallowed hard. "I didn't tell them to use your name." "The school. I didn't tell them to use your name." "You should have known better," she shouted. "You have all the power. You walk into rooms and people listen. I walk in, and I'm a charity case. You made me that." Her words hit like stones. Ethan tried to explain, but the truth tangled in his throat. "Renee, I only wanted to help." "Help?" Her eyes shone with unshed tears. "You wanted to fix something that wasn't broken. You think because I don't have money I need saving?" He reached out, desperate. "No, She stepped back. "Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me." Liam's small voice broke the silence. "Dad?" Ethan turned. His son stood in the doorway, eyes wide. Renee froze, her anger dissolving into exhaustion. Ethan knelt beside Liam, struggling to speak. "Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes," he whispered. Renee's voice cracked. "And sometimes those mistakes have names." She turned and walked out, the echo of her footsteps sharp against the gym floor. That night, Miami glittered with Christmas lights. But Ethan's home felt hollow again. He poured himself a glass of scotch and stared out at the ocean. The city shimmered like another world, one he suddenly didn't belong to. Liam padded into the room, holding his favorite ornament, the one he and Maya had painted together at the Christmas market. "Are we still going to the park tomorrow?" Ethan forced a smile. "Maybe, buddy. We'll see." "Did you make Miss Johnson sad?" Ethan's chest ached. "Yeah," he said quietly. "I think I did." "Then you should say sorry," Liam said simply. "That's what Miss Johnson tells Maya to do when she hurts feelings." Children always make truth sound so easy. Across town, Renee sat in her parked car outside the laundromat apartment, rain streaking the windshield. She was still in her hospital uniform, still clutching her phone. The same article glowed faintly on the screen. Alicia had texted earlier. "Girl." Renee let out a bitter laugh. "Famous for being poor." Her reflection in the rearview mirror looked tired, older. But beneath the anger, a deeper ache stirred disappointment in herself for believing she could trust someone like him. She thought about Ethan's eyes. How sincere they looked that night under the lights. Was it all a lie? Then her gaze shifted to the back seat, Maya's small Christmas list folded neatly on her backpack. A doll, a scooter, and a friend for Mom, so she smiles more. Her throat tightened. Maybe Maya saw something she couldn't. Ethan spent the next 2 days trying to reach Renee, texts, calls, even stopping by the hospital. Nothing. He sat in his car one evening, parked outside her apartment, watching as she and Maya carried bags of groceries upstairs. He wanted to get out, to explain, but guilt pinned him to the seat. Inside, Renee looked out the window and saw his car pull away. A faint ache bloomed where anger used to be, because somewhere deep down, she knew he hadn't done it to hurt her. He'd done it out of love he didn't yet understand. Still, some wounds need distance before they can heal. If you were in Renee's shoes, could you forgive someone who exposed your life, even unintentionally? Share your thoughts below. Christmas Eve dawned over Miami with air so still it felt sacred. The city glowed under strings of red and gold lights, reflections dancing across puddles left from the night's rain. But in Ethan's penthouse, the holiday hum was missing. He stood by the window again, mug in hand, staring out over Biscayne Bay. The waves shimmered like glass, quiet and distant. Liam's voice broke the silence. "Dad, are we not doing Christmas this year?" Ethan turned slowly. His son was in pajamas, holding the same ornament, the one he'd made with Maya. "I don't know," Ethan admitted. "It doesn't feel right without some people." Liam climbed onto the couch. "Miss Johnson and Maya?" Ethan smiled faintly. "Yeah, them." Liam tilted his head. "Then go fix it. Santa can't help you if you don't help yourself." Ethan chuckled softly. "You sound like your mom." "She sounds smart," Liam said proudly. She was. That one line stirred something in Ethan's chest, that same pull he'd felt when he first saw Renee's eyes. Not pity, not guilt, something real. He set down his mug, grabbed his coat, and whispered to himself, "No more waiting." Renee and Maya spent that morning at Walmart. The aisles were packed with families hunting for last-minute deals, Christmas songs looping overhead. Renee pushed the cart slowly, exhaustion etched in her face. "Mom," Maya whispered, pointing to a Barbie display. "Can I get the one with the pink scooter?" Renee smiled sadly. "Maybe next time, baby." Maya sighed. "It's okay. I still have the paper angel." That broke her. She turned away quickly, blinking hard. At the checkout line, as she reached for her debit card, a soft voice came from behind her. "Don't worry about the total. It's on me." She froze. Ethan stood there, in jeans and a flannel, hair damp from the drizzle outside. His expression wasn't smug, it was quiet, uncertain, almost pleading. "Ethan," she whispered. "Please," he said softly. "Before you say anything, just listen." She swallowed, jaw tight. "You shouldn't be here. I know, but I had to see you. I need you to understand, I didn't leak your name to the press. The school's PR team did. I tried to fix it, but..." Renee cut him off, voice trembling. "I know," he said. "A chance for what?" she asked quietly. "To show you what this really meant." She hesitated, torn between anger and curiosity. He gestured toward the parking lot. "Please, just 5 minutes." Maya tugged her sleeve. "Mom, can we?" Renee sighed. 5 minutes, she said finally. They stepped outside. The Florida air was cool and sweet with rain. Ethan led them to the far end of the parking lot, and there, beyond a chain of blinking lights, stood a small crowd of volunteers and families gathered around a massive truck bed filled with wrapped gifts and food boxes. A banner hung across the side, "The Miami Miracle Drive, in honor of every mother who keeps going." Renee's hand flew to her mouth. Ethan spoke softly. "It's not in your name. It's not about you. It's about everyone like you people who make this city run while the rest of us sleep." He looked at her, eyes glistening. "You showed me what real generosity looks like. You gave me back something I didn't even know I'd lost." Her voice broke. "What's that?" "Belief," he whispered. "That love doesn't need to be earned, just shared." Renee blinked hard, tears spilling. "You really did all this?" "With some help," he said, glancing down. Liam and Maya were already handing out small boxes to other kids, laughing like they hadn't seen each other in years. The sound of their laughter was pure Christmas. Renee looked back at Ethan. "You didn't have to do this." "I know," he said. "But I wanted to. Not for the cameras. For you. For them. For me." She took a shaky breath. "You make it really hard to stay mad. You know that?" He smiled softly. "Then don't." She stared at him for a long moment, the man who had every reason to walk away from empathy, yet chose the harder thing instead. The man who, despite all his flaws, was willing to kneel in the mud for meaning. Slowly, she stepped forward and hugged him. It wasn't a grand, cinematic hug, it was messy, trembling, real. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "for thinking the worst." "And I'm sorry," he murmured, "for giving you reasons to." They stood like that for a while, surrounded by laughter. Later that evening, as dusk settled over Miami, Ethan drove Renee and Maya home. They stopped at a small Christmas festival downtown, the same spot where it all began. Liam and Maya ran ahead toward the tree, ornaments clutched in their hands. Ethan handed Renee a small box. "It's not expensive," he said. She opened it. Inside was the paper angel ornament Maya had dropped weeks ago, now carefully laminated and framed in glass. "You kept it?" she asked softly. "I couldn't forget it," he said. "It reminded me that beauty doesn't need to be bought." It reminded me that beauty doesn't need to be bought. Tears shimmered in her eyes. "You really are something, Ethan Cole." He smiled faintly. "Only because you made me want to be." They watched as Liam and Maya hung their ornaments side by side. The lights flickered, casting soft halos across their faces. Renee turned to him, voice low. "So what now?" He looked at her. Truly looked. "Now we build something new. Not out of guilt or charity, but out of choice." "Now we build something new." She nodded slowly, her hand finding his. "I think I can live with that." And for the first time in years, Ethan felt the ache inside his chest ease, not because the past was fixed, but because the future suddenly looked possible. The night ended with music, laughter, and the hum of families gathered under the Florida sky. Snow machines sent flurries of foam drifting through the air, catching in Maya's curls. Renee leaned into Ethan's shoulder. "You know," she said softly, "for a man who used to hate Christmas, you're pretty good at it." He laughed. "Maybe it just took the right teacher." She smiled. "Merry Christmas, Ethan." "Merry Christmas, Renee." Their hands tightened together as fireworks bloomed over the bay, bright, fleeting, and beautiful. And somewhere in that shimmering sky, grief gave way to grace, and two broken hearts learned that sometimes love arrives not as a miracle, but as a choice. Do you believe people from different worlds can truly fall in love and heal each other's wounds? Comment below, your thoughts might inspire someone's miracle. Thank you for staying until the end of this story. If even a single moment, a look, or a word touched your heart, don't just scroll away. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what part made you feel the most. Your words, your support, they're what keep this family of stories alive. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. The next story is even deeper, more powerful, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. Click the video on your screen, your next story begins there.